once again here. Now, you met Jeff Tomes, and that's, of course, the drummer. And I'd like to introduce you to Zac Taggart. He plays the guitar in Keller. You know, we got two guitarists, right? You'll meet Sean later on, but it's like there's not really a lead or rhythm. It's like you guys both share the range, you know.
Yeah, it's a definite. There is no lead or rhythm. There's not one or another. We're two guitarists.
Yeah, it's just the guitars.
We blend well. So we blend really well together.
It's like the vocalists, right? Like there's two of us, so there's like.
Yeah, it gives us more opportunity for range.
So, you know, let's take it back a little bit. You know, like this is your first band, am I correct with that?
Yeah.
All right.
My very first one.
How long have you been playing guitar?
I've been playing guitar, I want to say 9 years, it'll be 10 years next year. That I really got into it. When I was a kid, I'd run around doing that air guitar thing, you know what I mean? And we knew somebody, and they ended up giving us a guitar. We bought it, and then I'd pick around with it. And then after my first concert, that's when it really full sailed. And now, almost 10 years later.
Now, let's talk about your first concert. Like, you said that
my very first one.
Yeah.
Well, back, it was July 11, 2015. You had opened up for, it was Hinder. I remember Hinder Diamante. I don't remember anybody else that was there, but I remember it was you with Dissension. And just seeing how the whole thing transpired, how the whole night went, getting to meet all the people that I did get to meet that night. It was really fun. I knew that was something that I wanted to do. That's where I needed to be. So through the next 10 years, this is, you know, the work.
That's the show that I came back from surgery. So like
I believe so, because because you had a TJ starting to sing. I think it was like the first song,
the very first song, yeah.
And then you walked. You didn't even walk out, dude. I just remember I heard a voice, and we're like trying to figure out where the hell it's coming from. And there you are up on top somewhere.
Up on the balcony.
Yeah, I think you were on the balcony.
I'll never get it because I hid the whole day. I was down in this green room, right, and like I didn't, like nobody was supposed to know I was there, and like everybody thought I was gone. Like nobody saw me the entire day.
Right.
So then, so whenever he opened up with questions, right, and I came in with that song In My Eyes, right, and I was like the whole time I went up and everybody, like I had people walking next to me to block me, shield me from everybody when I actually got to the position I needed. And there was this couple that was sitting right there. Well, right where they was the door that I had to duck underneath to get up on that like little plateau that came out. Yeah. Right. And the lady was real snooty, and I'm like coming into it. Like, with TJ I remember he did this long rant about what the next song was. I mean, he talked a lot, and while he was doing that, I was like, "Excuse me." And she goes, "Excuse you." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. That's what I just said. Excuse me." And I pushed her, I didn't push her, but I kind of like did this, you know, and she stepped away, and the boyfriend or husband, whatever it was, he stepped back too. And I opened the door and I got up in there and I closed it, and I heard her say, "Who's this guy think he is?" And then it come time for her to start singing, and I started singing, and I can hear the husband in my ear. I almost started laughing because he was like, "That's who he thinks he is." And she's like, "Oh," and you could just tell she felt like egg in the face.
The ignorance smacked her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So after that show, you decided to start playing guitar.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit of time before I was able to get like the proper stuff, or I have the proper knowledge on how to maintain and tune and actually play it correctly. But you know, I fiddled around for a little bit, kind of got the niche for it, and then about that time, it was like my sophomore year, high school. I had purchased a guitar off one of the kids I lived up the street from. He had this little stupid inky-dink guitar, had a little amp with it. I'm like, well, hey, that's enough to get me started. It was actually the janitor of my school at the time, and took it to him, and he got all set up and everything where I was able to play it correctly and able to learn. Nice. And yeah, it just took off from there.
So let's go and fast forward a little bit, right? And let's talk about when was like your first experience with playing with other people other than picking at your home and learning it that way?
there for, I mean, I jammed with quite a few different people over the years. I mean, nothing that ever became anything serious, but like definitely enough to where I was able to learn. I was able to learn how to learn how to do proper rhythm and kind of learn how to collaborate with other people in certain things. I jammed with a group of different people all throughout high school. Even outside of high school, my cousin, I'd moved from my hometown from Cadiz to Jewett, and my cousin played. So a lot of times we'd meet up and we'd have little jam sessions either at his house or buddy's house or go somewhere else and pick around. And I did a little bit of that, and I just kind of chilled out for a little while, just kind of stayed to myself. Then got around with some really good people, and it kind of got me into like, man, now I really want it. You know, I met one of my best friends, Coy. He's since on passed, but getting around him and his band Loss of Memory and seeing like everything they do, and it opened up like, man, this is something I really want to do.
What's that band's name?
Loss of Memory.
That's a pretty cool name.
Oh yeah, they're like a folk style.
Okay.
They're very, very, dude, you go into any of their shows, it's instant family vibes. They're a little community, you know, and then between them and a bunch of other people, it's really cool. So having all the musical influences and all my friends playing and, you know, being around you and Dissension over the years and now doing this, like, it's got me in the right charge to go.
Right, now you actually are the only one that's in this lineup besides myself and Denise that actually played with the original lineup of Keller.
Yes. Back right when COVID happened, you know, we had messaged back and forth and it was like, hey, let's try this thing out. But at the time, you know, I was well over an hour away from here, and you know, with COVID times and everything happened there, you know, it just didn't click right then. But having that experience, you know, with chilling with the original lineup, learning these songs, being able to remember some other stuff too, you know, it's I felt like when we came back and we tried this again, like it really gave me that step forward that I needed.
Yeah,
to be able to come in here. It's like, hey, this is what we're doing, you know.
Well, like one of the main things, the reason why we're doing these interviews, right, is because, you know, I've been out there for so long that, you know, with Dissension and now, you know, now with Keller, that people actually, they know me, right? But I heard somebody say something about we don't know that person or that person. So I was like, you know, this is the perfect opportunity to introduce everybody,
right?
You know what I mean, and let everybody at their will, you know, if they got time to sit down and watch these things, to sit down and actually get to know the people that's going to be on stage with me. And I find that very important, you know what I mean? Like, it used to be, like, me and Jason was talking the other day, and, you know, when he first came into Keller, you know, and Denise and Jeff and Jason, they really saved my hind end, along with this other guy named Chris. When all this fell apart and I had, like, a show coming up, you know what I mean? I don't like to cancel. That's one thing I hate to do. If my name's on something, I want to do it. You know what I mean?
That is completely understandable.
Right. So, like, it was like, you know, let's see what we could do with this. You know what I mean? And then whenever that show was done, that was supposed to be Jeff Thomas' last, and you all met Jeff Thomas, of course. That was supposed to be his last show, that Flaw show. And then he, you know, we came back up here and started rehearsing in the studio here. And, you know, drummer after drummer after drummer, and then, you know, we added Sean on a guitar, and how that happened. And you'll see it in his interview. I don't want to tell his story, you know,
for sure.
But it all was like mass confusion there for the longest time.
Right.
Well, last year, now we're back to you. So last year, we did a show with a former drummer, and we played at this bar called Mustang Sally's. It was like a favor to the drummer because she worked there. And then after that, everybody was sick. Well, mostly Sean and Jason were just sick. You know what I mean? And Sean actually, you know, like I said, I don't want to tell too much of the story, but he had to go into the hospital for a while. And then he works in the mines, and he was doing this project or whatnot where he had to take time off.
Right.
And at the day he told me I've got to step away for a while is the day that the drummer's like, yeah, I quit. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
right?
Double whammy right there.
So we had to pick up, you know, we lost some time, and I was like, well, okay, how do I do this with, keeping the people I got, but I need to take some pressure off of the guitarist. I need to figure something out because by that time, Chris had Chris had, I made the decision where, Chris had to step away because of other things that was going on. And I was like, what can I do to ensure that we don't, keep having to take these breaks? Because it seems like every time this band starts to get traction, something happens and we got to start all over. And I didn't want that.
No.
And that's when I called you.
Yep.
And I said, do you think you can hang this time without disappearing? Because that was the first thing. Because like the first time when you came in and joined us and jammed with us, the original lineup, I was like, oh, okay, this might work. And then you fell off the face of the planet for a little while.
Well, during that time too, there was a lot of things,
Sure.
between, losing a lot of things to COVID, then having to start over, and then from where we're at right now to where I was staying at the time was about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and trying to get back on my feet and trying to doing the things I needed to do, I had to take that time back,
Yeah. Sorry about the chair, it's squeaky.
Had to build up, start over.
Sure,
and, and also, and
when you're young and that happens.
Well, and another aspect too, not even about the age, but somebody told me a while back, life doesn't take you where you want to go; it takes you where you need to be. And just at that time, it wasn't ready. It wasn't. Right. We didn't need to be there just yet.
I agree. I agree 1,000%. Yeah.
You had to evolve your own way. I had to evolve my own way and kind of build back. And the time hit where it needed to.
Right.
Because we stepped in. We got to work,
Right.
And it's been straight business ever since,
Yeah. Well, I tell you, like, even in that lineup, there was like, there was talk about, outside of that, that this kid ain't ready. It's cool that he comes to practice and jam, but we got to worry about this show. We got to try to build for this, that, and the other. And so there was that time where I'm like,
it was a very complex situation during that time. But really, it wasn't a situation where there had to be anything to worry about. It's like, hey,
sure,
I still love you guys. You guys still love me. Let's go. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah, I think I'm stuck with you for the rest of my life. You kind of inflicted on me.
It is what it is at this point.
I love it. You and your brother. We'll talk about your brother here in a second, but I love you guys. You guys are family to me. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? So, but I tell you, when you came in, right? When you came in for your first practice and everything, and you heard the guitars being played differently, right? And I'm like, yeah, man, I couldn't get Chris, and I'm not talking poo. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is just straight facts. I could not get him to learn the album the way the album was played at all.
Right.
For anything. So Sean, and we'll talk about him again, we'll meet him. He learned Chris's way.
Right.
So when you came in and you had the album down, it was like two things. One, like, because like now the bass and the guitar is dealt with the style that Chris taught, right? Mm-hmm. And now I have you in here actually doing it the right way. And it's like, everybody had it, well, what do we do? It's like, well, when it comes to the point of view album, we're doing it this way. You see what I'm saying? And it to cause some work, it caused everybody to have to like switch what they knew and relearn.
It's kind of like between me having to adapt to them and them having to adapt to me. It blending the two, I think so far it's been really good.
I think so too.
You know what I mean?
I definitely agree.
You know what I mean? But we're taking the time now to do what we need to do. We're going to be a lot better come March 28th,
Yeah, well, we're going to get that part of the interview, but yeah.
Hey, we're there. We're there, man.
So you came in, you filled in very well. You know what I mean? I remember looking at you saying, learn the solo. Mm-hmm. And you was like,
I was not mentally prepared for that.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to. But then, something happened. Like, work that you put into it or whatnot. But it wasn't long after that I heard you play your first solo, and I remember I didn't want to show you right away because I don't like to cheer. Hey, great job! I don't like that. You know what I mean? That's just not me. So when I heard you solo, and I remember turning my back to you and just like, yes, thank you. You know what I mean? Right. It was like, oh, he did it. Because I watched you grow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I watched you since you was a young guy, you know, and I watched you just get older and develop, and I saw your life turn in this point. There's a lot of times in your life where, you know, people needed to get a hold of you but didn't know how, so they called me to reach you. You know what I mean? And a lot of lectures. Sorry about it.
Yeah,
But a lot of things, you
a
know.
lot of hours upon hours of phone calls.
Yeah. So like, yeah, we're in each other's lives. You know what I mean?
You know.
So to see you here is something. Like, I was asked, like, how, like, do you treat him differently than you treat everybody else? And I said, no, I don't. I treat everybody the same. And I even said, I said, it's different, however, for me when it comes to Zac. I'm like, because out of all the people, like, you know, I've known Jason for 27 years, you know what I mean? Or maybe even longer than that.
Right.
You know, Denise come up here from Maggie Valley, you know, we'll get to her, you'll meet Denise as well. You know, Sean, I've known him for a while, you know what I mean, for a long time. I didn't know I knew him as long as I did. Right, and like, you'll hear that in his story. And Jeff and I started Descension together, right? So it's like, you know, am I missing anybody? Jason? Sean? Yeah, I got it.
No,
Right?
we got everybody.
All right, just checking. Got to check right now. It's a laundry list, you know. But,
Yeah, right.
But you know, I've got personal relationships with everybody in this band. You know what I mean? Which is, for the first time, actually feels like home. You know.
Right, and I've noticed that too, because like for us being a 6-person band, there's still a very wide span of variety amongst all of us. You know what I mean? We all have our own personality and style we bring into the band.
Sure.
And then, you know what I mean, but just on this, since, you know, we started all practicing together, and then we brought, you know, Jeff in, and, you know, I mean, it's been nothing but moving forward, really. You know what I mean? It's like, even on the days that we're like struggling, like, damn it, you know what I mean? We're still making progress, and we're still evolving, you know what I mean? And the stuff that we're doing and things, and the work we're putting in this room here it's showing.
It's a lot of hard work. People don't realize how hard it actually is.
No, you know what I mean? There's days where you just want to rip your hair out, but on the other hand, it's like...
You trying to say you want to rip my hair out?
No, rip mine out.
Oh, okay. I thought you was like, I'm going to get violent with you. It's like, hey, wait a minute, time out. No. Conversation's over. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that kind of effort for the violence, man. I am that guy. I'm just going to be like, hey, let's go outside and smoke cigarettes.
So if a brawl breaks out ever, you're going to see Zac outside smoking a cigarette.
I'm just gonna go hide out because I am not the war kind of guy, you know. we're gonna peace loved up, man.
Right, yeah. So going back to what I was saying, what was I saying? I was saying something. Made me lose my track.
We squirreled off.
Yeah, you did it to me. That's what happens when you deal with somebody like this guy with ADHD. All right, so, you know, we was talking about the solos, and we was talking about how I was asked about how I treat you differently because of our personal relationship with one another and the history that we have. And it's like, no, I don't treat him any different, but it was hard for me. You know, it really was hard for me not to show bias towards you. It was hard for me not to show, like, I wanted to, like, as much as I wanted to say, man, great job, man, I had to not do that and say, all right, man, good. But here's what I need you to work on that, right? Because I need that certain thing from you, you know, in order to push this thing forward, right? So it was so hard for me to not give you a hug and tell you how proud I was over you, man, like a proud parent or something, you know. So
I'm honestly thankful you don't do that.
See,
you know what I mean? Not even the whole, because like I don't. It's weird. I have a really hard time taking a compliment sometimes. So like, even like, yeah, good job. It's like, hold on, I don't need to hear that right now because you're gonna get me all messed up.
There are times though I catch you when you're trying something and we're starting to break off onto something and you're doing what I'm asking you to do, but you keep looking up at me. Like you're just stop and look up at me. You know,
it's like, is this what you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean, if you're asking me something, you know what I mean, I try to deliver in the most accurate way I can. You know what I mean? So, you know, me, if I'm working on, it's like, hey, is this where you're at? Because if we're gonna write music and we're gonna play this kind of music together, you know what I mean, we need to have an understanding of what you need from me and what I need to be doing, or even vice versa, you know what I mean, when that time comes. But
that time's here, actually.
Oh you know what I mean? Yeah. Just being able to work together.
So let me ask you this. What do you say to those people that think that maybe the amount of time and energy you put into the band might be a waste of your time, like a pipe dream, if you will? What do you say to those people that have that thought process?
Honestly, I don't know. I'll talk to them whenever I meet them because that honestly, from where I'm at in my home, my people, it's been nothing but support. It's been nothing but, at least to my face,
Oh, that's great.
I don't hear anything negative about my participation or energy going into the band. And actually, it's actually bipolar opposite there. It's like, man, this was something you really needed. You know what I mean? And even through my old job, my boss was like, we've noticed a difference since you've started interacting with the music and doing the music thing, because it increased my performance in other places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's outside or at work or doing whatever I need to do, just having that time of the week, when we come and practice or when we go play these shows or we do anything, it's a decompression, and it's like, it's another form of therapy.
It is a therapy, man. I say that all the time.
And what's nice is, though, it's therapy for all of us in the band, essentially, in that fact that it just flows freely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're always, like, engaging with different stuff, like, ooh, how about this? Or what about this? We're always, like, picking each other's brains to see how we can go further.
Yeah.
But to get back on the whole negative thing, like, there hasn't been.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And if they did, well, I don't know what to tell them, like, I'm sorry. But
I like that. Positive influences around you it always pushes forward. That's what I try to tell everybody, you know what I mean? So turning negative into positive, there's a silver lining, this, that, and the other. If you're not having any negative thrown at you, that's fantastic. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. With that in mind, so
Normally when people start out, right?
Yeah.
They start out and they start out in the garage or something, and then they, get to a local pub, maybe get given an opportunity to play the pub and whatever, you know what I mean? Whether it be a bar or whatever.
Yeah.
But that wasn't your experience.
No, I mean, granted, there was a few different times throughout the years where I'd pick around at like a little pub restaurant or at a bar or something with my cousin, just tinkering around.
Just tinkering around there.
Yeah,
like
but
your
never,
first actual show.
But never actually playing with a band in a show. And plus, being from Caddis, man, you don't really find a whole lot of people that are into that.
We'll get to Caddis in a second.
My hometown, But, you don't really find a lot of people. There's music out there. It's pretty diverse, but you don't really see a whole lot of the stuff we're doing.
Right. That's
you know what I mean?
You don't see a lot of what we're doing anywhere, to be honest.
And a lot of time made it hard for me to like get and bond with the people and make something out there. I've always kind of looked outwards on that.
So, okay, but let's talk about your first show. That's what I was getting at. Your first show.
Like with KELLER.
With KELLER.
Yeah.
Like your first rock show, the first concert that you're actually on the stage and not in the crowd.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The first one with KELLER, that was a whole different experience alone. You know what I mean? And looking back on it, like, even though it was less than a year ago, but like, I did these things for my first show. We went to Pittsburgh and met Doc Rock and was on his radio station.
Yeah.
And we talked to the world. Then we turned around and went and opened up for Through Fire and Keith Wallen and Messer. And I got to engage with these people. I got to, hey, I'm opening for you. This is different. I'm not here watching. I'm here still, like, I'm opening. I get to bring you guys out, and it's like, it's a different thing. You know what I mean? Because I never heard of like Through Fire or Messer at that point. The only reason I knew of Keith Wallen's name was because I listened to Breaking Benjamin. So I was kind of like ignorant to who I was opening for, but I started listening to him and I started doing my research on it. And it was like, I got pretty pumped up.
Yeah.
And then seeing everybody these guys being so cool and super, super nice and supportive of like us in our little size. You know what I mean? They were still like, dude, this kick ass.
Let me tell you, Messer. Right.
Yeah.
When I first learned of the show, I thought it was a Messer show. I didn't know Through Fire and Keith Wallen was going to be. I had no idea.
Right.
And so I reached out to Derek Messer and I said, "Hey man, you coming to Pittsburgh? We gotta do this show together." And he's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, we can't. I don't have any control over who gets on the show or not. We have to turn down people all the time. I apologize." And I'm like, "All right, man. Look, I'm going to get on that show. I'll talk to you in a few." He's like, "Okay." Now, from what I was told later, he went to practice. He was like, "This guy's nuts. He thinks he's going to get on the show." You know what I mean? And how I met Messer, this is why it was so important. How I met Messer right? Was I was with Scott Stapp at Boardman, Ohio, the Rock and Rib Festival.
Yeah.
And I was backstage after by the buses and everything, and I met Derek. I met Kenny briefly first. He's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And he kept walking. And I'm like, I wanted to talk to that dude. One of the best drummers I've ever met.
Oh yeah,
You know
he's incredible.
what I mean? He's phenomenal. And then so Derek Messer come around and he was standing next to me and everything, and I just got talking to Scott. You know what I mean? And I don't know where Derek went, but it was good to meet him. You know what I mean? Great band. I saw him live and they were fantastic. And Scott was like, he asked me what I thought of Messer. And I was like, yeah, man, they're pretty good. I said, I enjoyed them. That drummer was awesome. He goes, yeah. He goes, you know, if you would ever, and I was still in Dissension at the time. He goes, if you would ever change the band name to Keller, and then you and Messer got on stage together, a Messer and Keller show. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny, right? And then later that year, later that year, that's when the end of Dissension happened.
Right.
And I was going to name this band Wired, and it was insisted that I name it Keller.
Right.
So I went to my dad, and I was like, Pops, they wanted me to name it Keller. He goes, do it. And I'm like, yeah, man, but you got to understand, if I name it Keller, the people's going to talk shit. They're going to think that, I'm egotistical and stuff like that. He goes, is that why you're stopping? I said, plus, man, it's your name. I'm only Keller because of you.
Right.
And I don't want to do anything to let you down. And he kind of welded up with the tears when he gets all proud, and he was like, James, call it Keller. And that's how Keller got formed like that.
Right.
So I told Derek that story, and I was like, it's going to happen. Well, I called Brzezinski and I said, I need on that show. And it was very important to me, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know when Messer was going to come back around. And I wanted to see that happen, Keller and Messer. I wanted to see those two names together. And Drusky was like, let me see. And then about an hour later, he's like, yeah, man, you can do it. Just go ahead and fill out these information so we can confirm you. I said, okay, and I filled it all out. And next I sent Derek a message. I was like, I'm in. He's like, what? I was like, I got on the show. I'll see you in Pittsburgh. And then talking to Kenny, he's like, yeah, man, we're practicing. He come in, he goes, you guys ain't gonna believe this. But Keller got in. So they were waiting for each other.
Yeah.
That was a great show, though.
It was an amazing experience, getting to know these guys. And
the only thing about that show that is that there was not enough room for me and Denise on stage.
Yeah.
And so we had to run through the crowd, this, that, and the other. And after a while, I got bored. I'm like, there's got to be something I can do. I'm going to climb.
Yeah.
And then that security guard, get the fuck down. I'm like, hold on, I'm singing. I'm in the middle of singing here, buddy. Get down now. And he tried to grab my ankle and shit. And I'm like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
He kind of threw it off a little bit, but it was pretty cool. It lasted.
Yeah, we started with a bang.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really good time.
Second show was not long after that, right?
2 weeks after that, we opened up for
Josie Scott
Josie Scott,
of Saliva,
Tantric, and
Tantric, yeah.
Modern Fossils.
Modern Day Fossils was on, from Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the meow lady.
Yeah.
She said meow a few times. I'm like, what is she saying? Is she meow?
Yeah,
But Larry works for Drusky, and but he also has Modern Day Fossils. A great dude. Great dude. The dude can count money faster than anybody I've ever seen in my life. And he's
straight business.
And it's accurate. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to share his story on here because that's none of, it's not mine to tell, but he told me how he learned how to count the money like that as fast as he does. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. All right.
It's a process.
But that Josie Scott and Tantric show that we did with Modern Day Fossils at the Craft House, same place. We actually had room on stage there. And that turned out to be another good show.
Yeah, what I was appreciating about even then, Jason and I were walking together throughout the Craft House at that show, and this guy walked up to me and was like, hey man, you guys sounded really good. You're really good on that guitar. And he kept walking, and I looked at Jason. He says, you know who that was, right? I said, no. He said, that's the guitarist for Tantric.
Nice.
I was like, oh. So that kind of, because I felt really bad after the set because we had the tuning issue with my guitar, and I was really beating myself up.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
See, no, I'm serious, because that we lost a drummer that show, if you remember correctly.
Yes.
All right, named Chris, another Chris.
Yeah.
And kind of scoot up here a little bit and make sure you're in frame. Okay, there we go. We lost a drummer, and I'll never forget that because I didn't hear the tuning until like I couldn't hear it on stage. You know, the stage, as you know, stage sound and the audience sound is two different things.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, you can't take into effect too much the iPhone camera. You know what I mean? Yeah, they make good videos, but the sound quality when you're right next to all that noise, it doesn't provide the best audio, right? So it's hit or miss with a phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when I heard it the next day, I'm like, oh, that went out of tune. Who was that? Right? And I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, we got to fix that. That's all I said. We got to fix it. We got to get on that because it happened on the show before that too. So we have to figure out which one of them is going out of tune, and we got to fix it, right? And that guy came in and he actually pulled a chair up and sat down right here. And I was over there, and he put his hand on the thing and looked at me, and he goes, "These guys ain't ready for the stage." And I'm like, I beg to differ. You know what I mean? Now keep in mind, the show before that, that same guy stopped playing at the beginning of a solo, just stopped playing the drums. And, you know.
Right.
So mistakes happen.
Oh, for sure.
But he was like, he just, I remember him saying that you guys weren't ready for the stage, all because of that tuning issue. And I'm like, dude, live shows, things happen. And it's very important that I tell, I mean, there might be somebody watching this that's inspiring to be a guitar player.
Oh, yeah.
That maybe sees you and wants to be just like you. And they're going to run into issues. So let's just say, the live shows, things happen, okay? Like, not everybody's going to have a perfect set every single time. So when that happens, just learn and adapt. Don't give up on your people all because of a mistake that happened, whether it be in front of people or not, okay? And say that maybe there's an opportunity that maybe you miss out on because of that mistake. That's no reason to disband. It means you got to build. If you got the opportunity once, you can get it again. So you got to rebuild. You got to work at it. You got to make sure that you fix the mistakes. That's always been my thing. And you stuck in there. You know, so did Sean, and we'll talk about that with Sean in his interview, but like, you stuck in there. You did not let that affect you, and you just stayed in there until Jeff come back, because then we got Jeff Tomes, remember, again. You met him the other day. So we got Jeff back, and now everything's full circle, right? So now your next show was with Like a Storm.
Yeah. Then I ended up getting another guitar for that tuning issue. And we, you know what I mean, and when I got that other guitar, you know, my Jackson, we brought it in there, you know what I mean, we started doing some fun things with it and was able to make some cool sounds, and, you know, we went on and played for Like a Storm, and they were very well pleased.
You know Like a Storm, right? You knew of that band way before.
Yeah, it was actually full circle for that one too, because first time, I mean, I liked Like a Storm throughout high school and stuff, but my first interaction with that was Dissension had opened up for them at the Hard Rock.
Yes.
So it was my first time at the Hard Rock, seeing you guys there, and then seeing Like a Storm. I really appreciated the show, and I became a real big fan after that. So I listened to them, and they became one of my favorite bands over the years. You know, I love these guys.
They're pretty cool, man.
But, you know, then we got the opportunity to open up for them, and now next time I'm seeing them, we're on the stage together. We're doing this really cool thing, and I remember, like, it hit me all at once. We started playing Breathe. You know what I mean? Just how the crowd reacted to when I started strumming that. You know, we get in there and I start doing the solo, but when I turn around, I look around and Chris, the vocalist for Like a Storm, standing there.
Yeah.
And he looked, you know, he seemed like he was enjoying himself, and I was thrown off, like, oh, you know, because I'm not used to having somebody standing behind me watching me like that. But just, you know, I mean, that whole night alone, even itself, you know, I never would have thought it would have went the way it did, you know. My first time soloing on stage, and, you know, getting to hang out with these guys, and then we're on stage with them, partying out with them, you know. Chris's brother Matt, he's a real cool dude.
Yeah.
You know, I walked up on that stage, and it was nothing but hugs, man, you know.
What was funny on that show was me and Jeff was in the audience, and we didn't realize that they was asking all of us to come up.
Yeah.
Right? So we thought they was only asking the opening band, those kids, you know what I mean? Great kids, like, really angry kids, you know, with their songs. But they played, like 12 minutes, and then that's what we got. We had to fill in some spots. But we thought that when Like a Storm was inviting them up, me and Jeff was standing there, we thought they was only inviting them up. Then all of a sudden, there's Sean. I'm like, what is he doing? Oh shit, Sean's up there. So Jeff went to recording, and then here comes you, here comes Jason. And it was the funniest thing, but it was great at the same time. It was so great to see you guys up there. You guys was up there jamming.
You know, and I almost didn't do it either, but I was like looking at it like all sketched out, you know, because like it's ironic for the business we're in. Like I am like,
Yeah,
you know, I get
yeah.
a little creeped out around people sometimes, but you know, I was like, oh, looking at it, and I just hear my brother and then my sister Becca Sue, get your ass up there, boy.
Yeah.
You know, like taking it back home, get your ass up there. So
And what was it? It was a Nelly song, wasn't it? It was like,
I don't even know which one it was. I couldn't even remember what song, what was going on. We were vibing. I was having a great time.
It was hilarious.
I looked over and Jason scared the shit out of me halfway
Yeah,
through.
that dude, he was
Because I wasn't ready.
It was fun. It was fun for me and Jeff in the crowd, man. We're like, look at these guys.
But you know what I mean? Like, life's presented me these opportunities, you know, and I'm very thankful for them and being able to like experience them the way I did with the people that I have.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it very worthwhile at the end of the day.
I think I tell you, like, as a personal aspect, you know what I mean? Like, it was the first time that I noticed you on stage. You know what I mean? It was our first show together and everything. And that there's a profile pic that you have where you're like this.
Yeah.
Right. It was around that time where I was in the crowd because I was not on stage, and I turned around and I think it was like Denise was supposed to be singing, and so
I think we were playing Fate.
No, that's for the profile picture. I'm just talking about all in general.
Oh,
I don't remember what song. It wasn't my like.
Okay.
It was one of those times where I didn't have to sing.
Yeah.
So I kind of was like looking where to go, and I kind of put the mic down, shut it off, so it didn't feedback or anything like that. And I remember just turning around, and I was looking at the stage like a fan would.
Yeah.
Right. And I was watching you. I'm like, look at him. Look at him. Holy shit. I would never expected you to break out like that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, especially from you seeing me from like where I started compared to now, you know, I mean, you've seen like the true evolve from like
Right.
my beginner level to now, you know, I mean, we're playing alongside each other on stage.
Well, it's not so much that too, but it's like even I remember the first time you spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were so afraid to talk to me.
Right.
It was weird. It was like you was like saying something, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, and then you went away as if I wasn't standing there
I
talking
was
to
that
you.
awkward child. You
Right,
know?
yeah, and I'm like, you know, he doesn't have to run off like that. I mean, I was about to smoke a cigarette. I had plenty of time to stand there and talk to you. You just,
Yeah, you know.
So then to have you here now, to have you go on the stage with me, and to turn around and to see that, I was just like, man, I'm really proud of him. And I thought to myself, man, this has to be what God had intended. Because it feels right. It feels right.
Right. That's where I was saying earlier, you know, like from the first time to now, like then it wasn't the right time, but things happen for a reason. You know,
Exactly.
life takes us where we need to be, not where we want to go. And although that's the route we wanted to go, then life it ain't the time, man. We got to evolve yet.
So your next gig is March 28th, 2025.
Yes.
Live at the Hard Rock.
Yep. That's our gig, man. That's,
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty exciting. You know, I mean, I didn't think, you know, I mean, in the year or so that I've been in this band, you know, I figured we were going to do some fun things. We were going to do our thing, but like to this kind of level, this fast, you know what I mean? It really that's what I'm saying. It really makes me humble and
To
thankful
get the opportunity, right?
to have the opportunities that I've been presented.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because like,
Well, you've earned them, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean? I've worked, I mean, even before joining bands and stuff, dude, my junior and senior year in high school, I spent most of my time in my room playing that guitar. You know what I mean?
Oh, it shows.
That's what I did, you know? And then, you know, right day after I turned 18, I was playing the national anthem for a benefit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was the child abuse
That was,
benefit that I did. huh?
because I think that was also the same. You guys premiered the video for Save Me.
Save Me. Yeah,
Yes.
just for those of you who don't know, it wasn't a benefit to support child abuse. It was a benefit to shine the light on child abuse, and it was like child abuse awareness. And some radio DJ man thought that I was promoting child abuse and started running his mouth about me online. I had to go meet up with him, and I had to go meet with the CEO of the actual 106.3, 106.5.
Yeah.
whatever.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, Dimitri was his name. Good guy, but he was just like, and it caused a firestorm, man. And I was just like, I didn't care. I was just like, shit. Now I gotta fix all this, you know. What I mean? So I had to go meet him face to face. I had to sit down with his board of directors and say, look, I don't want him fired. Everybody was calling for the guy to be shut off and canceled. I'm like, I don't want that. You know what I mean? It was a mistake, you know?
It's a misunderstanding there, you know? So, and that happens.
So, but yeah, you did play the national anthem for that.
Yeah, both did it twice.
You did that, and then we did a benefit for
Jamming for Jaden at the Wells Township Haunted House.
Yeah.
And I remember that so distinctively because right after I left, I was not on the highway for 2 minutes, and here, first time ever getting pulled over, cherries and berries flying behind me, like oh, and they walked up and. She was looking to give out a ticket. I don't know if it was like me. I don't know if it was because the end of the month she had to meet quota or something. But she just walked up and was like,
"Oh, you got pulled over."
Oh yeah, dude, I got hit. That was the first time I ever got a traffic ticket, anything. So I was sitting there like, "What's going on here?"
Well, that jamming for Jaden, like that was like a need thing. You know what I mean? Like this little boy had aggressive brain cancer, and it hit the family so hard. And he was down St. Jude's and you know, we tried to do everything we could for him, and I wanted to play that shit, but I didn't. That's the only benefit I ever put together that I didn't play. And the only reason why we didn't play it was because nobody knew Keller was a band yet, right? We were just putting it together, and I didn't have the Ascension anymore, so it was just like, you know, I put that together. But you know, everybody that played that, I was very thankful for them. You know, and we had Bucket of Puppets. Bucket of Puppies.
Yeah, because when I played the national anthem there, I used Bucket of Puppies guitar setup.
Yeah, Matt Losey's.
Matt Losey. I couldn't remember his name. I could remember the face, and he was such a cool guy. That was the only time I really talked to him. But you know, just how cool and how like willing he was to like, you know, share his stuff and you know let me crank and. It was a really fun day, you know.
I'm having a hard time. Like I'm having a bad day, by the way, guys. You know, the health thing, that's why I put the glasses on, you know, to save me from the light. And I'm having a hard time remembering certain names, so I apologize if I don't say your name. But we had a country singer there, and I can't remember his name. Ashley
Best. He's
Best.
actually from my area.
Yeah, so we had Ashley Best there, and then we had DC was there, and he's from here.
Yes.
And
then Bucket of Puppies.
Bucket of Puppies, but wasn't there there was somebody in between there, wasn't there?
I don't remember. No, they were supposed to be, but I think they backed out.
Oh yeah, that was okay.
Backed out at the last minute.
Yeah. So you know, that was all great. Like I still want to do that. Like I want to do something that's going to raise money for St. Jude and childhood cancer. You know, with my father passing away from pancreatic cancer and you know, seeing the damage that you know that disease does not only to the patient but to the family.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the friends even. You know, I've had grown men walk up to me, crying, real tears because my father passed away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm consoling people I don't know. You know, thanks, man. You know, and I see the devastation that raises. So once we get past March, we're gonna be doing something for St. Jude's. For sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be full throttle with it.
You know, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be, and I think we can get a pretty good turnout. So we're gonna close this out, right? Is there anything you want people to know about you that we haven't touched upon yet? Or is there like anything that you want, you know, you would like them to know about Zac Taggart? Well, I forgot to tell you, he has a twin brother named Nick, and the first show. He shows up here to go to the show because we all met here to go to the radio, to go to Doc Rock, and to go because we had to be on Doc Rock's radio. And in come walking him and Nick, and at the time Nick had just short, his hair was just a little bit shorter than Zach's, but they both had their beards and everything. So I was like, all right, now see, I could tell them apart now. I mean, it's been a lot of years.
Yeah.
When you all was little, I couldn't, but as you got older, I could really tell you apart. Just by the way you stand, but you know, just certain things that can.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Although we're twins, we have a lot of different things that kind of keep our individuality.
Individuality, yeah.
Kind of keeps that in check, you know.
So Sean and Denise are down in the driveway, and they just pulled in. I said, okay, we'll be right down. And I said, hey, Nick, go down there and just start talking to him, man. Tell me that you're pumped for the show and everything like that. And me and Zach stayed up here in the hallway, man. And I was getting shit done. I wasn't ready to leave yet, so I was getting everything together. And I was like, he was down for like 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, he done it for quite a few minutes. He just
For a minute.
Yeah.
So we go walking down, and I walk out. Zach stayed in the basement, and I walk out to the garage, and he's standing there talking. And Nick turned around and looked at me. I said, "Do they know?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't think so." And I'm like, "That's hilarious." And now they're all looking at me like, "The hell is he talking about?" Right? So I just said, "Hey Zach, come on out." And they all looked at me like I was crazy. And then here come walking Zach out, and they're like, "Oh." Denise was devastated that she thought he cut his hair, and she didn't want him doing that. And Sean swore up and down that he's like, there's something different. Like, why is he wording it that way or something?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because even with our speech, we're different.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
So.
But your voice actually sounds the same. Like, you guys got the same voice boxes.
Oh, yeah, man, we're built pretty much the same.
Identical.
You know what I mean? But, no, that's the perk of being a twin. But, you know, the other fun thing is, too, you can, like, we always mess with teachers and stuff, you know, like we dress alike and because hide in the same classroom and they'd be like, which one too? And we're sitting, we'll never tell.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you
twin antics.
That's funny. I always wondered what it'd be like to be a twin. I knew a couple twins growing up, Kevin and Chris Nodianis, and they got me a few times, man. Like,
there's times where like I am like, man, it is so fun to be a twin, but man, there's also a bunch of other aspects, and it's like, bruh,
yeah.
But yeah, you know, he's a good dude. We're bipolar opposites, you know. I mean, you got like the redneck version or country boy version, with my brother. Then we got me here in Keller. So
I remember when you first showed up the first time. I was like, dude, you're not gonna wear that on stage, are you? Because you look like you had shit kickers on, and I'm like,
yeah, with my job, I had to wear my boots all the time, and I grew up rural farm at land, that country boy, what was it? That country boy can't survive mentality, that's the way my family was.
You know what's funny is the reason why we know one another, what connected us is my former bass player in Dissension, Jim Kaiser.
Yep. And
he's also from Caddis, which hence is Harrison County.
Oh man, we love that place.
Nah, not me.
No.
I had so much problems with Harrison County, man. And then when Zach and them come in my life, I thought Harrison County did forget about me. And then all of a sudden, somebody had to make a phone call, and they remembered who I was all of a sudden.
Like, hey, buddy.
I deal with them again. That judge, man, he reminded me of my cousin Vinny. If you ever see that, you ever watch that?
Mm-mm.
Jesus, man, just show his age. He's younger.
Yeah, I was late for the party.
You got to watch my cousin Vinny. Matter of fact, when we get off here, I'll go punch it up, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The judge for my cousin Vinny reminded me of the judge in Harrison County. It really did. And that little dweeb of a prosecutor, they would not listen to anything.
Yeah, he's the judge now.
Is he the judge? I'll never go in Harrison County ever again. As long as that little dweeb is, and I hope he watches this. I can't stand that dude. Anyways, long story short, he's from Harrison County. Now, while we close this out, we talked about March 28th. It's going to be Keller with special guests Stoots Bigson and
Atomic Shindig. I'm pretty optimistic for that. You know what I mean?
So what I have here is a shirt, and we're selling these right for $25 from small to extra large, and anything above an extra large, like a double X or triple X or whatever, is $28. Okay, because it does cost more to make the the bigger shirts, and so we're selling these. Our goal is to get where? Studio.
Yeah.
You act like you're not part of the meetings. We're sitting here all the time.
Man, I got lost for a minute. Well, I was waiting for you to talk about what was going on there.
Yeah. So our goal is, we're going to use March 28th to try to get us back in the studio, because we're in the process of doing our sophomore album, and that's why I want everybody to know who everybody is. That's hence is the reason for these videos. But as you can see, we have a one-time only, for this shirt. And it's the March 28th show. And what I like about this is not only does it have all 3 bands on the back, it has the location of Hard Rock Cafe,
Right.
you know, and it has a date on there too, which is awesome. But you're on the T-shirt, Holmes.
You know, first time in
Look at
my
that.
life, you know,
Look at that.
we're on
Look
a
at that.
T-shirt.
Look at that face. Him wearing his little sleeveless shirt. Look at that. Look at that face. But so yeah, you can pick these up. You can get a hold of us, and it's like I said, small to medium, large, extra large is 25, 2XL above is 28. But this one-time shirt, man, it's only gonna have one time. Plus, the tickets for the show are still selling, and they're selling out quick, dude.
Yeah.
So those of you that haven't got your tickets yet, get a hold of us because we're not holding them. It's first come, first serve, and they're only $15. Zach, thanks for spending the time with me, dude. Always a pleasure. I love you to death.
Love you, brother.
And I just can't wait to see what we're going to be doing from this point on.
Man, after you come to this show,
It's going to be fire.
You'll see exactly what we made.
That's right. Till next time, guys. Next time you're going to meet one of the other members. But like I said, Zac Taggart on guitar. And we'll see you soon. All right, rock on. Love you.
To pay the cost.